Hi everyone, Sin here from CreativeSynchronicity.com, and I'm back again with another round of crafty hangouts. This time we're featuring products from ConsumerCrafts.com, and so a big thank you to them for providing us with these fantastic products. What we're going to be showing you throughout the course of these crafty hangouts, and make sure that when you're finished watching my video that you head on over to craftyhangouts.com and check them all out because they're fantastic. We're showing you crafts that you can make in under $10, and certainly each of the projects I'm going to be sharing with you can be easily made under $10. And I'll provide all the details about the products I'm using. I'll give you close-ups of my projects on my blog so that you can see everything really, really well. The main kind of ingredients that I'm working with is some really yummy yarn. It's nice and thick and soft and fluffy. One of the great things about using a thicker yarn for the projects I'm going to show you is that it's very forgiving if you have any little areas that, you know, you kind of make a little mistake or something like that. It's wonderful and forgiving for that. I'm using some pony beads, and I'm using these great plastic straw beads that they've got. All very colorful and all really fun. Now, as far as kids crafting goes, oftentimes I'm asked, you know, what do you recommend as far as an age for this? And it's hard to say because kids have different abilities and different strengths and likes and all of that all play into this. I would say that certainly these aren't difficult crafts, and you might have an 8-year-old at home who is perfectly suited to be doing these particular items. But in general, you know, I'm going to say probably ages 10 and up. So preteens and teenagers, these would be great projects for them, well suited for that age group. And, you know, it's not that they're difficult projects, but they do require a little bit of patience. So, you know, that kind of plays into the age that I'm picking as well. The other thing I'm going to focus on is I'm looking at doing these for sort of back to school projects. Great way to make their desk a little more inviting by kind of making some fun things to put in the desk area. Even could be fantastic crafts to be able to use, you know, maybe with different color choices or whatever, to be able to use to personalize their dorm room. So, you know, it's got a lot of range to it. So let me get started. I'm going to show you some of the things that I've got here. First of all, I've got one of these giant letters. These are paper mache letters. They're really nice and sturdy is what I like about them. So they're good, you know, you could sit them right on your desk or lean them against the wall or hang them up. And I love the yarn wrapping trend. I loved it when I was a kid doing yarn wrapping, and the different ways that you could add color and texture to something so easily just by wrapping it in yarn. We used to do like wrapping it around bottles and old soup cans and stuff like that. So here I'm bringing it in with this letter, and just to add a little more visual interest, every so often I have strung on a pony bead. So simple, you need a little bit of glue for this and obviously scissors. Cut off a length of the yarn that's kind of manageable to work with. Put a dab of glue on the back, and then put the end of the yarn in that. Only takes a few seconds for it to take hold enough that then you can start wrapping. Okay? You don't want glue over the whole thing. You only want a dab of glue where you start and end of the yarn and when you finish off each length of the yarn. So you wrap, string on a bead, wrap some more, and there you go. These flat surfaces that can't be wrapped, what I did for those was I just filled the space with glue. I used some of my yarn scraps and filled it in. You could also, before you get started on your project, you could paint this and then let that dry and start doing your yarn wrapping. So really cute. And I think it coordinates really nicely with my next project. Like, they look really cute together. They coordinate, not too matchy-matchy, but they go well together. So this one is just a simple wooden frame, has chicken wire in it, and it's great for holding like little notes. You can see it can like slip right into the chicken wire and hold in place. Or you can use the little mini clothespins and clip them on. either one works really, really well. Concert tickets, little notes, photos, this would work for all kinds of things. And this is so simple because those little straws, they're already cut for you in exactly the perfect length to fit on this frame. It was like they planned it or something. So what you do is just, I just did a section of glue at a time so that I didn't have a big mess on my hands and get frustrated. And then I'd stick on some of the pieces of the straws. And then I'd do another section. When I got to the end, I switched directions, as you can see at the bottom. And I also, sat it aside and let it dry for a little bit before handling it some more. Same with the letter, just because after you do a bit of it, I found that, then it could start kind of coming undone if you didn't let it have a good drying for a while. So I just kind of alternated between projects. Work on this for a while. When I feel like, okay, it's time to let that section dry for a bit, then I'd pick up the other project and go back to it. So then another thing I got these really fun little frames. Okay, so you can see they're fairly small, and they're just little plain wooden frames. And to tie the projects in together, I did yarn wrapping again, every so often on the yarn wrapping. And I'm sorry if I keep looking off to the side. I'm working with a different camera today, and I'm just having a hard time getting used to it. I strung on some of these straw beads, and I strung on some of the pony beads. And, that kind of tied it in with the other two projects, brought in all of the elements together. So I did this little frame. I didn't want to be frustrated by trying to wrap around the corner areas. Not that it can't be done. It can be done. Going to want to use a little extra glue in there to kind of hold some of those yarn pieces in place. But, again, especially working with a child, that might be something that's a little more frustrating for them. And you'll see in a minute, I wanted it to coordinate to the other little frame that I was doing. So I just filled in the space. I just put some glue and filled it in. You can see on the back. Filled that space in with glue, glued on some straws, didn't bother trying to wrap it. Okay, really cute. Then I've got this other one, and this other one brings in an element of duct tape. Kids love duct tape. Comes in all kinds of designs and all kinds of colors. This one happens to be chameleon tape, and you'll see why. Fun. What kid wouldn't love that, right? I don't know if the colors are showing up really well, but this is dark green that goes to light green. This one's purple that goes to a pink. So really, really fun product. Colors go nicely with my other ideas. So instead of yarn wrapping this particular frame, I went for wrapping it in duct tape. Again, did the corners with the straws to make it coordinate with everything else really nicely. And, just cut little strips of the tape. Just work with a small piece at a time, wrap it, and then, create whatever design you want. What's fun about these frames is that they're just the perfect size that you put them in your desk area, and you could, have like chalkboard paint in here, and you've got a little place just to write a quick little memo. Remember your lunch, math test December 15th, whatever it happens to be that's most important at the time. You can get some kind of a whiteboard surface to put in here, make it dry erase instead. But my favorite one is to use Post-it notes. Take those square Post-it notes, take a stack of them, and keep the whole pad intact, but then take off that backing paper on the very back of the pad so that you expose the strip of adhesive. Stick that in here, and now you've got a place that's pretty, but it's nice and handy right there on your desk to be able to have your Post-it notes. And when you're finished, it's reusable. When you've used up the last piece, you just get a new pad, take that backing sheet off, stick the new pad in, you're good to go again. The final thing that I did was this little lampshade. Ooh, and I'm hoping, there it goes. It's focusing a little bit better there, showing you the colors and everything. It's that same variegated yarn that I've been using all along. One ball of yarn, and I still have some left, has done all of these projects. I chose this really small little shade, figuring on it would be, just kind of a little accent lamp to provide a little bit of space. Maybe you want a little bit of a nightlight going at night. This would be perfect for that. Or just, you know, something to just to add a little bit of ambiance, I guess, to your space. So I chose a really small little lampshade. And originally, you know, at one point I had thought of doing the yarn wrapping, you know, wrapping it down so that I had the yarn kind of going down like this, string on some more beads, string on some more straws, and that would be great. But then you'd have the yarn on the inside of the lampshade, and I was afraid that was a fire hazard. As it is, I definitely want to use a really, really low watt bulb with this just to be safe and definitely not sorry. So instead, I went with this coiling idea. So all I've done here, and I still have a few little spaces to fill in, is I circled on some glue. You just need a very light layer. And let me find a little, oh, I've got a little tiny spot here. Take a look at the way I keep my glue. It's upside down, either in a tin can or a jar or something, so that the glue is always at the tip and you don't get frustrated trying to use it. So I'm just circling on a little bit of glue there to kind of define the space that I want to work with. And then what I found was easiest, and I'm just going to take this tiny little piece, was to start the coil in my fingers before putting it onto the glue surface. You might find that you can do it right on the glue. I found that it was a little more frustrating than that. So, okay, so you can see I've got the coil here. And then I'm just going to continue coiling around onto the rest of the glue now that I've got that initial coil there. And all I need to do is grab a pair of scissors, trim that off, and it's all filled in. Okay? And then you can, you know, I've been saving all the little scraps. Great for, you know, like a tiny little spot. Can you even see that little spot? It's just a little bit of the lampshade exposed. Just stick some glue in there and just literally just shove in one of these little scraps, and it will fill in that space and keep your eye from kind of seeing all those empty spaces of lampshade. Here's one I did a while back to show you that it doesn't have to be coils either. You can do more of a rectangular shape if you'd rather do that. So there's lots of different things that you could experiment. I mean, maybe try some triangles. You know, go crazy. So that's pretty much it. Definitely make sure you, like I said, head over to craftyhangouts.com, check out all the other videos in this series, and be on the lookout for my blog post, because in that I will definitely give you close-up pictures of all the projects and details on exactly which products I used and how much each project is specifically. So thank you very much for joining me. Hope to see you next time on creativesynchronicity.com. Bye, everybody.